For a citizen of ancient Rome, the known world was a bright, sunlit place of marble and olive groves, bounded by the warm shores of the Mediterranean. But beyond the safety of the empire's paved roads, far beyond the frontier walls of Britannia, the map began to fray, dissolving into mist and shadow and ice. To look north was to look into the vast unknown. The ancients believed the world ended not in a sudden drop, but in a slow, creeping freeze. A place where the oceans themselves grew thick and sluggish, where the warmth of history gave way to the stillness of myth. If you are listening to this to fall asleep, perfect. That is exactly why I make these. Tell me in the comments where in the world you are drifting off from. Perhaps a warm, quiet room, safely tucked away from the ancient frost. Tonight, we are not excavating ruins with shovels and brushes. Instead, we are leaving the sunlit plazas of antiquity behind, pulling our cloaks tight against the wind, and wandering past the very edges of the Roman map. For the philosophers and geographers of the ancient world, there was a boundary to human reality itself. They wrote of a point where the sea, the air, and the earth merged into a strange, icy suspension, a frozen curtain hanging at the very top of the world, and hidden within that perpetual, freezing twilight, they believed there was an island, the final frontier of the human imagination, a place they called Ultima Thule. Our journey begins at the edge of the map, a place the Romans called Ultima Thule. Imagine standing on a dark shore in northernmost Caledonia, what we now call Scotland. The wind doesn't howl here, it breathes. A long, slow, cold exhalation that carries the scent of salt and wet stone. Before you is the sea, the Mare Gignans, the birthing sea of monsters. It is not blue, but a churning slate grey. And out there, somewhere in the perpetual twilight of the northern summer, lies Thule. The geographer Pytheas spoke of it, a land where the sun never set, where the sea, the land, and the air all seem to merge into a single gelatinous substance, a place called the Sea Lung. The Romans who heard these tales, men of sun-drenched terracotta and warm marble, could scarcely imagine it. Thule was the final punctuation mark at the end of the known world, a place of deep, profound quiet, wrapped in a blanket of fog. It was the ultimate mystery, a world not of gold or conquest, but of elemental cold and an endless, lonely horizon. A place to simply be. I'm going to now ask, politely of course, that you put your phone down and let my voice guide you to sleep. I'll be turning off the images now so that your eyes can get a break. But beyond the cold, beyond even the lonely shores of Thule, the legends spoke of another place, a paradise hidden and protected by the ice itself. They called it Hyperborea, the land beyond the north wind. While Boreas, the north wind, brought bitter cold and hardship to the known world, the mountains from which he blew acted as a shield, and behind that shield was a world of impossible softness. The legends described a land of eternal spring, a gentle, sloping country warmed by a sun that never wavered. The people there, the Hyperboreans, lived for 1,000 years, their lives free from sickness, old age, and war. Their days were spent in peaceful contemplation, in music and dance. There was no labor, no strife. It was a perfect world, an impossible dream tucked away behind the harshest frontier imaginable. a secret garden at the top of the world, a reminder that even in the face of the most profound cold, life finds a way to create warmth and peace. Let us drift south now, away from the ice-rimmed north and into the warm, contemplative space of a Roman villa at dusk. The air is thick with the scent of jasmine and olive groves. The only sound is the gentle splash of water in a central fountain, its ripples distorting the image of Medusa laid in 1,000 tiny mosaic tiles on the floor. Here, a philosopher might recline, speaking not of Thule, but of an even greater legend, a story inherited from the Greeks, the tale of Atlantis. To the Roman mind, a culture built on order, engineering, and the rule of law, Atlantis was a cautionary tale. A civilization that had achieved perfection, a city of concentric rings of land and water, of advanced science and immense wealth. And then, in its pride, it had overreached. The story was not one of adventure, but a quiet philosophical meditation on the impermanence of even the greatest empires. In a single, unfortunate day and night, the earth trembled, the seas rose, and Atlantis, this perfect world, was given back to the ocean, a ghost city beneath the waves, a silent testament to the idea that all things, even the most magnificent, eventually return to silence. Not all lost worlds were made of mythic islands or impossible paradises. Some were made of men. Consider the Legio Nona Hispana, the 9th Spanish Legion, a force of over 5,000 of the empire's finest soldiers, hardened by campaigns from Gaul to Germania. Around the year 117 AD, they marched north from their fortress at Iberacum, what we now call York, to quell a rebellion in the misty, unconquerable lands of Caledonia. And then, they simply vanished from the historical record. They walked into the Scottish mists and never walked out. There was no record of a great battle, no story of a last stand. They were just gone. An entire world of men, of brothers, sons, and fathers, each with his own history and hopes, was swallowed by the landscape. For centuries they became a ghost story, a legion of phantoms eternally marching through the fog-drenched highlands, a silent, disciplined army that dissolved into the very air, leaving behind only a profound and unsettling quiet. Some lost worlds are not hidden by distance or myth, but are right beneath our feet, veiled only by a thin layer of water. Let us travel to the Bay of Naples, to the ancient city of Baiae. In its day, it was the Las Vegas of the Roman Empire, a coastal resort of immense luxury and indulgence where the wealthiest senators and emperors built their opulent seaside villas. They engineered hot springs into private baths. They built vast, shimmering fish ponds. They lived lives of unparalleled pleasure. But the very volcanic activity that gave them their hot springs was also their undoing. The ground here is unstable, and over centuries it has slowly, gently subsided. The land has sunk. Now, much of Baiae rests below the calm, clear waters of the bay. To drift over it is to see a silent, submerged world. Marble floors are carpeted in seaweed. Statues of gods and goddesses stare blankly into the blue-green light, small fish darting through their open mouths. It is a city not ruined, but dreaming beneath the sea. Its parties and politics replaced by the gentle, rhythmic sway of the tide. Let us journey now to a world not of land or sea, but of shadow. The Roman underworld, known as Orcus or Hades, was not a place of fire and punishment for most. It was simply the next place, a vast, quiet, grey realm of final rest. To get there, a soul had to cross the river Styx, a slow, oily black river ferried by the silent, hooded figure of Charon. The journey was not frightening. It was one of resignation, of letting go. On the other side were the fields of asphodel, an endless pale meadow shrouded in a perpetual twilight. Here the shades of the dead drifted, not in torment, but in a state of quiet forgetfulness. They were echoes of their former selves. Their passions and worries faded into a neutral, dreamlike state. It was a world of profound peace, a place where the struggles of life were finally over. A silent, grey landscape where all souls could simply rest. From the grey fields of the underworld, we turn our gaze west, far out in the Atlantic, beyond the Pillars of Hercules. The Romans believed in another destination for the most virtuous souls, the Fortunate Isles, or the Isles of the Blessed. These were not a place of cold or shadow, but of eternal, gentle warmth. Imagine a ship after a long journey across an endless ocean, smelling them before seeing them, the scent of unknown flowers on the breeze, a sweetness that promises an end to all struggle. The islands were said to be a paradise where the heroes of old rested. The soil was so fertile that it produced grain and fruit 3 times a year without any need for labor. The air was always mild, the skies always clear. It was a world without pain, without effort. A final reward. A warm, sun-drenched shore where time itself slowed to a crawl. And the only sound was the gentle lapping of waves on the sand. A lullaby for eternity. There are other gardens, other sanctuaries hidden at the edges of the world. In the furthest west, at the edge of the setting sun, lay the Garden of the Hesperides. This was not a realm for mortals or souls, but a private garden of the gods. It was a place of perpetual twilight, a soft golden light that was neither day nor night. In its center grew a tree with apples of pure gold, a wedding gift to the queen of the gods, Juno. The air here was heavy with the scent of night-blooming blossoms and damp earth. And guarding the tree was a 100-headed dragon named Ladon, who never slept. But his presence was not one of menace in the old stories. It was one of deep, ancient stillness. The low hum of its breathing was the bass note of the garden's eternal peace. It was a place of divine quiet, a sacred, untouchable world of soft light and silent, golden fruit, forever at rest. Some lost worlds are not lost to the sea or to myth, but to fire and ash. Let us drift to the base of Vesuvius, to the city of Pompeii. We will not dwell on the day it was lost, but on the moment it was found again, centuries later. Imagine the first excavators breaking through the hardened pumice and finding not a ruin, but a city holding its breath. The silence must have been overwhelming, a silence that was 1,700 years old. They found streets with the ruts of chariot wheels still visible. They found bakeries with loaves of bread still in the ovens, now turned to carbon. They found villas with vibrant frescoes still on the walls, scenes of myth and daily life, their colors impossibly preserved. It was a world perfectly frozen, a single moment of Roman life captured in amber. To walk its silent streets today is to walk through a memory, a ghost town not of spirits but of a complete, unmade world, waiting patiently in the dark. The final world we visit is not made of stone or soil, but of papyrus and ink. The Great Library of Alexandria. Though founded by Greeks, it was the intellectual heart of the Roman world for centuries. It was an attempt to create a perfect world, a world of complete knowledge. Imagine a vast complex of white marble halls, filled not with treasure but with hundreds of thousands of scrolls. The quiet within its walls was a unique kind of silence, punctuated only by the soft rustle of unrolling papyrus and the scratching of a reed pen. It smelled of dry paper, cedar oil, and the dust of accumulated ages. Here the sum of human thought was gathered in one place. Its slow decline and eventual loss was not a single dramatic event, but a long, slow fading. A world of ideas and stories, of science and poetry that dissolved back into the mists of time. A library of ghosts whose whispered knowledge still echoes if we listen closely enough. And so, our journey through the forgotten worlds comes to a close. Thule, Hyperborea, Atlantis. All of these places, whether real or imagined, live on. They are not truly lost. They are simply sleeping. They sleep in the pages of old books, in the subtle architecture of our own cities, in the very structure of our languages and our laws. You see, these lost worlds are part of you. The Roman desire for order, their fear of the unknown, their dreams of a paradise beyond the horizon. That is all woven into the long, unbroken thread of human history that leads directly to you, here, now, in this quiet room. The survival of these stories is proof of your own resilience. It is written into your bones. So now, it is time to let go of the day. Let your own worries and plans become a forgotten world for the night. Give them to the silence. Give them to the darkness. You are part of a beautiful, endless pattern. And it is safe to rest. It is safe to close your eyes. It is time to drift and to sleep.